Hi everyone, Udit this side. Welcome back to my channel. Today in this video we are going to talk about one of the LLD problems which I solved for one of my recent interviews. It's actually not recent, it happened some time back, but yeah, I solved this for one of the interviews, and the problem is basically designing a system for cab booking. So systems like Uber, Ola, these are very big systems, but we are trying to define our problem that's based on cab booking itself, but we are trying to reduce the number of features so that we can club everything into single service, and we are actually looking for how you can make that single services design better, right? So that is not a high level design problem. The problem that we are going to solve over here is a low level design problem. That's basically revolve around object oriented design, oops patterns, design patterns, those sort of things. If you're looking for high level design patterns, high level design solution of Uber or Ola kind of a problem, then I have a separate video created. I'll put the link of that video in the description. Okay, so yeah, let's start with the problem statement first, so that we understand the problem completely, what we are trying to actually build. So we are going to build a cab booking system. The system will be allowing a rider to book a cab, right? So there are two entities basically in the system. Actually there are three entities. One is rider, one is cab, and one is the driver also, right? So actually cab and the driver, they are sort of synonym with each other, so we will actually take two entities only, rider and a cab, because there is a one-to-one mapping between cab and a driver. There cannot be a cab without a driver, and there cannot be a driver without a cab. So that's why we are taking these two entities as a one, and we are only considering rider and driver slash cab as our two entities into the system. The details of the problem is like the location of each coordinate is represented as xy coordinate. Distance between the 2 points is defined as the standard distance formula that we have. The platform that we are building, that has decided that only up to a maximum distance we have to give a ride to a driver. Like if a rider requests a ride, then only up to a radius of, let's say, x radius, we will give the request to a driver. If the driver is outside that x radius, then we will not give the request to the driver. A cab only has one driver, which we already discussed. Sharing of cabs is not allowed in the system. So the cabs, like Uber has Uber Pool, Ola has Ola Share. So those sort of things are not allowed in the system. So this makes the problem simpler to us, right? There is only a single type of cab again. Like this is again done to make the problem more simpler. You do not have like Uber XL, Uber Prime, Uber Go. Those sort of things are not there. There is only a single type of cab which you can assume, and you have to build system only for that. That said, I mean, it's already defined in the system, like there is only these two requirements are there, but we should always build our system satisfying the current requirements and leaving our code or writing our code in such a way so that if further requirements come into the system later on, then our system should be scalable enough, right? That's the whole point of designing of a low level design or a high level design also, that it should be future scalable. So even though we will be solving only for these two cases, but we will be seeing how our system or our design is scalable for future cases, like if there are multiple type of cabs, if the sharing of cabs is also enabled in the future, then how our design is scalable for that also. So that we will see. Other features, the exact features that the problem is looking for is registering a rider. So a rider should be able to register. Registering a driver should also be able to register. Updating a cab's location, so as the cab is moving, so we should be able to update the location of the cab. A driver should be able to switch on or off his availability, like if the driver wants to sleep or he's going for lunch, if he's doing something, then he can just switch off his device. So that capability we have to provide. A rider can book a cab. That's the basic functionality that we have to give. We have to also give functionality so that a rider can fetch all the history of all his rides. So we have to maintain history somewhere. A driver should be able to end the trip. So these are the basic interaction requirements that we have with the system. One good thing which was provided is like we also have some expectation, like what the interviewers are exactly looking for when they are evaluating your problem. So one first thing is demonstrable code. The code should be functional, fully functional. It should be running. So they have given us liberty to run our program whatever way we want. We can write web APIs, we can write CLI, command line interface, we can write a mobile app, whatever way we want to write. We can also write APIs, or whatever way we want to write, we can make our code runnable by that method, right? So these are all the runnable way by which you can make your app run. I used simply using unit test, so I should not call them unit test. Actually, I just wrote a full end-to-end test so that I can just test my application. Another requirement is code should be extensible. As we already discussed, it should be able to cater future use cases. Clean code is always required, right? So functional completeness, like it should be complete. User identification but not authentication. So here we are not looking for authentication, like username, password kind of things, but since each rider will be different, so we should be able to identify each rider. Like if a request is coming for a single rider, then we should be able to serve the request only for that rider. For example, like if we get a request to fetch history for a rider, so we should be able to identify that rider so that we only give the history for that particular rider and not for all the riders, right? So that identification needs to be there, but not the authentication. So we will not be checking whether the rider is valid or not, or if the username password is valid or not. We will only do the identification and not authentication. Backend database is optional. That's actually there in almost all the design problems that you do. So you can either use actual database or you can use in-memory database, but actual modeling should be there, right? Like you should have entity classes and model classes in your design. So that's always the requirement, but using actual database is always an optional thing, whatever design you build. So that's the basic problem that we have, basic description of the problem. Let's see how I solved it. So the first of the thing that I built is, it's a main class. The main class does nothing, it just starts a Spring application, and it takes some arguments, and that's all. Actual thing starts from these controllers, riders controller and cabs controller. As we saw, we have two entities actually in the system, so I created two controllers, one for each of them. Cabs controller actually is responsible for handling the request for a cab. So the request for a cabs will be coming around, like we have to register a cab, we have to update the cab location, we have to update the availability of the cab, right? Like driver wants to switch on or switch off his device, and driver wants to end the trip. So these are the basic functionalities that we require for a cab. Similarly, for a rider, we have some functionalities that we need to provide. So I created APIs for them. So we have to allow registering of a rider, we have to allow a rider to book a cab, and we have to allow a rider to fetch all the bookings that he has made in the past. So that is actually defined by the method, which is get and post. So if I receive a post method, then that means there's a request for booking, to create a new booking, and if the request method is get, then the request I am seeing as fetching the history of the rider. Right, so these are the two controllers which I built, and these controllers actually interact with managers. So there are three managers. One is cab manager, one is riders manager, one is trips manager. Depending on what functionalities each controller has to provide, they interact with like different kind of managers. Like rides controller don't need cabs manager, so it doesn't interact with it. Similarly, cabs controller does not need to interact with rides manager, so it doesn't have it, right? So that's the basic starting point. Before going to the detail, let's see what our modeling is. So our model has one entity as cab. Like cab, rider are the basic entities in our system, so we definitely should create the entity classes for that. So cab is one entity, it has an ID, it has a driver name. A cab will also have a trip associated with it, like if it's already there on a trip, so what's the trip that it is on. So that trip object identifies the current trip the cab is serving, current location of the cab, since each cab will have a location always, so current location of the cab, and whether the cab is available or not. That boolean flag, like if the driver has switched off his cab, so boolean flag for that. Just a constructor to create the cab. By default all the cabs become available, so by default the available is true. Then there is a toString just for the debugging. Then another thing we have is rider. Rider will have only two things, which is it's his ID and name. There is no other thing. We have created a constructor using a Lombok, which is all args constructor. So this means that a constructor will be created with both the parameters, which is ID and name. There's a toString, again a Lombok thing, which will help us not write the toString method, like this way, so that it will allow us to just write this annotation and it will create the toString on its own during the compilation. So that's the benefit of Lombok. This will again help us in debugging if we are printing something onto the system output. Then we have getter for both of these things, right? Next we have, let's say, a location. A location is just XY coordinate. So it has a method which is distance. So distance method tells us location, the distance of the current location on which the method is called from another location. So another location we get in the input, and the current location is the on which the method is called. So we will just use the formula and we will return the distance from it. So that is our location object, location entity. Then we have a trip entity in our system. Trip is actually what it says, like it's actual trip which is going on. A trip will have a rider for who has booked the trip, a cab which has been booked for the trip, a trip status can be progress or finished. Since I actually consulted and confirmed with the interviewer during the interview, like what all trip statuses do we care about, and at that time he told me we only care about progress and finished. We do not care about not started and those sort of things, like driver has not yet come to pick. So we assume like as soon as the cab is booked or cab is allotted, the driver has picked the rider at that time only. So the actual trip directly starts from in progress. So that's I confirmed with the interviewer. So I have only these two states for a trip. Then we have a price, like what's the decided price for a trip, so that we can show it both to the rider and the driver. Then we have a location from where we have to pick, and we have the destination location, right? So that's the basic POJO or entity class for a trip. Now similarly we have a constructor for a trip. So we can just pass on all the items in the constructor, and by default each trip start from in progress, as I consulted with the interviewer. So we have the status and in progress in the constructor. The end trip, I have a method as end trip which actually marks the status as finished. So whenever the driver wants to end the trip, so it marks the status as finished. The next we are going to look into is, let's see, the manager things, right? So we have cabs manager, we have riders manager, and we have trips manager. So cabs manager actually exposes a method to create a cab. So as we see in the controller, we have to register cab, update location, update availability, and end the trip. So for each one of them we have to expose a method on the manager, right? So that the manager can handle the thing. So cabs manager actually creates a method for create cab. So whenever a new cab registers, so it just creates a cab. The create cab method is called, and it will take a new cab into the input which is going to be created. And if it already exists, then we just throw an exception that cab already exists. If it doesn't exist, then we just create the cab into the system. Creation of cab is just like in-memory database, where we have a hash map and we are storing all the cabs into that hash map. Since the requirement was not there to create the actual database, so we are just using an in-memory database using a hash map over here. Next method is to get a cab. So we get a cab ID and we just need to return the cab related to that ID. We do not need this method in the direct API, but we might need this method in some trips manager or something, so that's why we have created this method. Another method is like updating a cab location. So we get a cab ID over here and we get a new location, and we'll just find the cab for that ID and we'll set its location to the new location. If the cabs does not contain the cab ID, then we'll just say cabs not found, right? So that's for updating the location. For updating the availability, it will be the exact same thing. Instead of just updating the location, we'll be updating the availability, right? So we again get the cab ID, we again get the availability, and we'll just update the availability for that cab as same as the location. Now there's another helper method which is to just get all the cabs registered in the system from a single point and up to a single distance, right? So for that method, we just use all the cabs that we have in the system. We just check if the cab is available or not. If the cab is available, then we'll just find the current location and we'll just find the distance of that cab from the input from point, right? And if the distance of that cab is less than the input distance, then we will add it to the result set, and then we will just return the result. So this is a helper method just so that whenever a rider requests a cab, then we will see what all are the nearby cabs in the system, right? So that we can return those cabs to another manager, and then another manager can use those cabs to show them to the user, right? So that's the whole idea of using get cabs. We'll come to this again when we go to the trips manager, because this method is getting used over there. But yeah, that's the whole point of creating a cabs manager. It just provides you interaction with the cabs. Similarly, we have a riders manager. Riders manager actually create a rider, and it will help you get a rider. Similarly as cabs. So we again have a hash map in the in-memory hash map in the system, and that will create a new rider, and when we get a get rider call using rider ID, then it will return the rider. The interesting part comes with trips manager. So trips manager actually uses other managers also, like cabs manager, riders manager, and other Pojo objects, and not exactly Pojo, but other objects to complete its functionality, right? So since trips manager is using these two, cap matching strategy and pricing strategy, which we have not yet discussed so far, so let me just define them quickly and we'll go into the detail later on, right? So cap matching strategy actually tells you what's the matching cap for the particular ride. So it takes all the available caps which are nearby to the system, and it will give back the cab which is good for the user, right? So it will take a rider for which the cab has been requested. It will take all these nearby cabs, all the candidate cabs which are there. We'll take from point and to point, and we'll see how this is helpful for us, right? But right now it actually let's say it's just an interface, or it's just an object which allows you to convert multiple cabs into a single cab. So like you will get a list of cabs, and it will allow you to it will return you a single cab which you can directly return to the rider. Similarly, there is a pricing interface which actually just takes a point from point and to point. It calculates the price for your journey, right? So that's the strategy for pricing. So these are two things which are getting used in trips manager. So let's see how they are getting used. So trips manager actually exposes one method which is a very obvious one, right? Like it has to create a trip. So it has a method called create trip, which takes a rider for whom the trip has to be created. It takes a from point, it takes a to point, right? Like from to create a trip for this rider. So for this particular thing, like create trip, what we have to do, we have to first find out what all are the nearby cabs for this rider, right? From this point actually. So we just take this we just ask the cabs manager to get all the cabs nearby to this point and up to this distance, right? We have to take a particular radius up to which only we have to search. So that's how the cabs manager method is getting used, get cabs. So to find the nearby cabs, once we have all the nearby cabs, then we have to filter the cab which is most suitable for the rider, right? There can be 10 or 20 cabs which are there nearby, but some might be booked, some might be of bad rating, like so there can be multiple factors possible by which you want to decide which cab you want to give to the rider. So by that logic, you have to call the cab matching strategy, and that cab matching strategy will decide which cab out of the nearby cabs is most suitable for the user, and it will give you that cab. If the cab is there, if it is able to map a cab, then it will be present. If there is no cab possible, then we'll have no cabs available exception, right? Once the cab is selected, then we'll have to find the price for it. So we'll just go to the price strategy, and we'll ask it itself, and we'll ask the price strategy to find the price for it, and then we'll just create a trip, right? If trips trips map already contains a trip for a single ID, then so basically this is just how we are storing the trips. So trips is actually a string to the list of trip, so a single user can actually have multiple trips. That's how we have designed the system. So we just take, if the rider is not there, then we'll just add it. If the rider ID is already there, then we don't add it, and then we just add the trip to the method to the list, right? So so that we can also maintain the history of the of the trips for a single rider, right? So that will help us in returning the history directly. So similarly, let's say when we are actually getting the trip history for a single rider, what we'll do, we'll just take the map and we'll get the ID and then we'll just return the history. So this will return all the history for the rider, right? It will return all the trips for the rider. So that's what we need in the trip history. So it helped me actually to simplify this method. So the whole idea of creating this kind of things in the memory was so that I will be able to query it easily. So that you have to think of when you are designing your system or when you are coding your things, so that you can you need to just keep these things in your unconscious mind, like these things you might be needing later on. So design your system in such a way. That's how I actually approach the thing. Similarly, there is an end trip method. So we just which will take a cab in the input, and if it will check if the cab is already on the trip or not. If it's not on the trip, then we'll just say the cab's not on the trip or trip not found exception. If the cab is on the trip, then we'll just end the trip and then we'll mark the current trip as null because the trip has been ended. So that's the whole idea of the basic system. You have cabs controller, you have managers, and you have locations. Models, right? So there are some exceptions which I defined, which I have actually used throughout the system, which I showed you while I was walking you through the code. Let's come a bit into detail about these strategies, right? So why I have defined these strategies? Let's say right now my strategy just defines like find any cab which is free right now. Like if I get 10 cabs around me, then since I cannot give cab which is already booked, so I just give the cab which is free and I will return any of them. How this will help me tomorrow? Let's say you want to extend your system to share also, like Uber share or Ola share kind of thing, where you allow multiple people to have a single trip or to have a single cab, right? So in that case you will not have this filter. So if you want to extend that kind of to that kind of problem, you will not have to change your trips manager, right? You just create a new strategy over here which will not have this check like current trip is null or not. Instead it will have a check like what's the current trip members are there, like how many number of members are there in the current trip, and then you will just check if the numbers is within your threshold, then you will use that strategy, right? It will not ask you to change the trips manager. Only adding a new strategy will work for you. Similarly, let's say if you have some more type of strategy or matching strategy in your system, like you want to use rating of the driver to your premium users, right? Say like, so you can use that strategy and create new strategy which will rank the drivers on the basis of rating and all, and then you can use that strategy and use that strategy to find a cab for a particular rider. So defining interface for a strategy and then plugging it into the trips manager is actually helping you to change strategies whenever you want, instead of actually changing your core logic. You just change the logic of your strategy, create a new strategy, and then plug it to the trips manager, and you are good with that, right? Similarly with the pricing strategy, we have defined a pricing strategy as a separate, so that if we want to change the pricing strategy later on, let's say right now it's just taking per kilometer rate, but let's say tomorrow you want to also include tolls into the picture, right? There are many things which comes with the pricing, and let's say time also you want to include with the pricing. Like if the estimated time is, let's say 1 hour, then 60 minutes per minute rate plus per kilometer rate. So those kind of things you can just create new strategies for them and then plug them with the trips manager. The whole idea of these is to so that you do not have to change your trips manager. Only adding new strategies over here and then plugging them with the trips manager will solve your purpose. That's the whole idea of creating those strategies. That's the basic system that we have. Then I created this runner test thing. The runner test thing actually just set up, it has a setup method which sets up all the managers and controllers kind of thing, and then it just does a run of all the system, like a single cab booking flow where it registers some riders, then it registers some cabs, then it updates some location, try to simulate some behavior. That's the whole idea of writing this method. I just use this test method so that I do not have to create UI and all this, which is completely acceptable in the system design or LLD round, because interviewer does not expect you to design the actual UI and all. It just expects you to have some mechanism so that you can test your system. So let us just try to run our system once, whatever we have built. So it is running, it just built, and now running the test. So let's see, test passed now. So as you can see, we have all the output into the console. So we had defined the two string things, right? So these are helping over here. So first we register rider number 1, rider number 2, then printing current trips for rider number 1, rider number 2, those sort of things we are here. So if we just go to the system once, with the output once, then we have all the riders registered. There is no output right now. We have all the locations updated, right? Then we have the riders who are trying to book, like R1 and R2, right? So R1 had destination 500, 500, both have destination same, but the source is 00. So like the nearest cab, or the cabs which are here into the system, which are near to this rider, and near we defined as maximum distance. So maximum distance we have set as like 10 units, right? So which are all the cabs which are nearby 10 units, so which is cab number 1, cab number 2, cab number 5, right? So those should get booked. So rider number 1 got cab number 5, and rider number 2 got cab number 1. Again, like since we had not used any matching strategy, we were just using random matching strategy. So if let's say tomorrow we want to return nearest cab instead of the any cab in the vicinity, so R1 would have got C1, and R2 would have got C2, right? Because first R1 tried to book, so C1 is the nearest one to the R1, and then C2 will be the nearest one to the R2, right? But since we are not using that strategy right now, so any random cab which in the vicinity will be allotted to the riders. So that's again another use of cab matching strategy. So the whole idea is you can just create new strategy and plug it with the trips manager without changing the trips manager. Printing trips for R1, R2, as we can see, C1, C5 got allotted to this user. So similarly, the whole system is sort of dry run using this thing. So let's say once all the cabs have been booked, so I'm just checking like once all the cabs have been booked, so we just check like cab not found exception. So those sort of things are there. So let's see what all the pros or good things into the system, into the design that we have built. So one of the good things is like it is actually catering to it is actually using some good design principles. So let's see how it is using some good design principle. Let's start with solid principle once. Solid is very backbone of design principle. So for solid, we can just see where all solid principles are being applied over here, and what all things are adhering to solid principles. So let's start with single responsibility principle, which is S. As you can see, riders manager, it has just single responsibility, which is to manage the riders, right? So this is actually having single responsibility thing. Similarly, strategies that we have defined, single responsibility, they are catering, they are just catering that I am defining this strategy and nothing more than that. So again, these are actually handling single responsibility. Trips manager, if I see, this is actually not handling the single responsibility. Trips manager thing was to only cater to what all trips it has to manage, or trips management kind of thing. But as you can see, it is actually have some logic around what is the maximum distance that we have to look for the cabs, right? So that kind of thing is actually not making it single responsible. It has some more responsibilities, though those responsibilities are very less right now. But the single responsibility principle is not being adhered by this class, which can be improved, right? Like this logic can be taken out from it. Let's come to the second principle, which is open closed principle, right? So open closed principle says like class should be open for extension and closed for modification, right? Again, trips manager is not closed for modification. If we have to change cab finding strategy, then we have to modify it, right? So this is actually not a good design for trips manager. But rights manager are closed for modification. Like this class will only get modified only if there is a change for a specific rider kind of logic. Like how do you create a rider, how do you get the rider? If there are other changes, then this class is not going to change. Interface segregation principle. Over here, let's say what it says, like we should have multiple interfaces for each of the tasks, right? So as you can see, I could have created just a single interface like cab strategy and have two methods over there, what is the matching function and pricing function, but that would have resulted into multiple combinations. Let's say if I had to create one type of price and one type of cab matching, then I have to create all the combinations for that. Are you getting me? Like if there's two CAM matching strategies, let's say a default and by rating. Similarly, let's say there are two price matching, let's say default price and let's say toll based, right? So I will have to create four combinations like default CAM matching, default pricing, um, review matching, default pricing, default matching, toll pricing, review matching, toll pricing, right? So you can see this is clearly not a good solution, right? So we, as you can see, interface segregation principle is actually helping us over here. So we have divided our interface into two interfaces, each one focused on one particular thing. So the code is looking good as per the interface segregation is concerned. Then we have dependency inversion principle. Dependency inversion is again being followed over here. We are actually, let's say trips manager is actually needing these dependencies, so it's actually taking these into the input and not actually creating them on themselves. So how does it helping us over here? So let's say tomorrow trips manager wants to change his strategy, so we can actually inject the new strategy into the trips manager. If trips manager, let's say, had something over here like new default trips manager, let's say over here we have new um, default pricing strategy over here, then we would not have changed the strategy later on. So dependency inversion is actually very much required for the classes that you build, right? So this is actually a very useful thing which you should include in all of your designs. Like you should always not create dependencies in the classes, you should inject them. There's another word for it which is called dependency injection. It will, if you create your classes in such a way like the dependencies are injected into it, then it will not only help you in creating an extensible design, it will also help you in writing unit tests, so that mocking and all will become very easier for you. Since mocking and all needs a separate session on itself, so I'm not going into details of it, but the whole point is like dependency inversion itself says you should not create dependencies in itself, you should inject them from the constructors, right? By constructors or by some other way, but dependencies should not be created implicitly by the classes, so that your class design or system design becomes extensible. So that's being followed over here again. So this is a good principle. Other principles, then solid principles which are being followed over here is like composition, which I actually like a lot. Composition actually says that you create a single behavior by composing multiple behaviors, right? So like over here trips manager is actually using two behaviors, which is pricing strategy and CAM matching strategy, by and composing these two behaviors to create the whole trips behavior. This actually allows us to change the two behaviors at any time, right? So that's the composition principle is very much helpful in creating extensible designs again. Another principle, we have a template principle, design principle, where we have an interface which is actually telling like each matching strategy should define this method, which is match cap to a rider, and now each strategy whichever implements it has to define this method. So that's a very basic template pattern which is being followed over here. These are regarding the design principles which are being followed over here. Other good things which I would like to call out over here is it is using Spring Boot application. So Spring Boot actually allows you to create code very fast. If you are, let's say, you doing machine coding around, or if you're writing code for your system design, LLD system design, then Spring Boot lets you create a basic bare bone very easily. You can actually go to this site over here, start.spring.io, and you can just create a sample code from here and just start with it very fast. So instead of creating those boilerplate code, Spring Boot application actually helps you to start your LLD code very fast. Another thing which I would like to show over here is each of the models I have actually created getter using Lombok. So Lombok is again a very good tool to avoid writing all the getters into the class. It makes your code clean and it makes your code more readable also. Like as we can see in our problem statement, one of the requirement was our code should be readable, right? So that requirement we have fulfilled using Lombok also. So we'll again go to the expectations towards the end, but let's see the positive points of the design that we have created. Another thing we have created, let's say we are not allowing the immutable, we are actually creating things immutable, right? By immutable I mean like X and Y are not updatable at all. once they are created in the beginning, that's all. Like location in itself is not updatable. Like if a location has coordinate x and y, then that location will always have those coordinates x and y, right? A location of a particular rider can change, a location of a particular driver can change, but a location in itself cannot change. So those xy coordinates will always remain same. So the idea over here is we should make x and y immutable. Immutable means that once they are set, they should not be allowed to change. So I have made them immutable by not exposing a setter for them, right? So once a location is created using a constructor, the location is fixed and those xy coordinates are not updated. So you should actually take care of this immutability a lot while writing your code, because interviewers again very like this immutability thing very much, because this exposes actually very less amount of bugs in your code. This actually helps you reduce the number of bugs. If you actually get some issue or some incident into your system, the debugging becomes very easy if you have immutable things in your code, right? So immutability you should try to create as much as possible, but wherever it is not possible, so for example, let's say in trip thing, we cannot have immutability on all the properties, like trip status can change at any time, so we cannot afford to not have setters for them, right? So we actually have a setter for end trip. So those sort of things are there, but again, if you see, the in progress thing is not exposed ever, right? Like we are actually not exposing to do any update on the status. We have actually provided a specific method which is end trip, which will only mark the status as finished, so that a finished trip cannot be updated to in progress, right? Like this is again not a valid use case. And if you expose a set trip method here, then anyone can always call set trip in progress on that method, and that will increase bugs in your system. And so let's say when you are debugging, you will always be sure if a trip has moved to finish, then it will not be moving to in progress ever. So that's the power of immutability, or making mutability in your system as less as possible, only where it is required, right? Like similarly, for a trip, the price, rider, and cab, these things are from point to point, these all things are immutable, and they should not be changed once the trip is created, so we are not exposing any setter for it. Similarly, let's say rider names and ID are always fixed again, so we have not exposed any setter for them, so only an all our constructor is there, which is just create a constructor for all the properties. For the cab, these two things are not mutable, so we have not created setter for them, but other things are changeable, right? A cab can change its trip, like once it creates a new trip. A cab can change its location, it can change its availability, so those things are become mutable. So only make things mutable only where it is required. Don't make everything mutable. I know it is easy to make just everything mutable and just go away with it, but this is actually not a good design at all. It opens doors for a lot of bugs, for a lot of debug issues, those sort of things, right? So that's another thing that I wanted to highlight. Those are the main things which I wanted to show, like positive things in the code. Let's see some improvements which can be there in our system, right? Like every system has some drawbacks. So one thing which I already told you, like trips manager is not actually following a very good design. It has something which is related to caps filtering and all, because it has this distance thing into it. So we can try to take this thing out when we have if we try to improve the design for trips manager also. Dependency injection, if you see, that is happening manually. Dependency injection, though it is happening, but it is happening purely manually. We could have actually used some frameworks, we are actually using Spring into a system, so Spring actually provides automatic injection things, like you can create beans at once into your system, and then those beans can be injected into the multiple classes. So we could have used those Spring injection mechanism instead of creating the injection, instead of doing the injection manually. So these are the points which you actually do, then this will actually show to the interviewer that you really care about your code, like the readability of the code. Like let's say if this method is a redundant method, like completely redundant method, right? Like it just takes arguments and just sets the argument, which is a very plain constructor method. So if I could just remove this method, then you will have less code to read, and thus it will increase the code readability. So Spring injection actually allows you to remove your redundant code that you have in your system. Again, other improvements, that we can have, which is actually not required from the interview point of view, but let's say if you're building actual system, then this class is not thread safe at all, right? Like if two threads enter into this creative thing, and those two threads get the same cap, then a single cap will be allotted to two trips, right? Which is not a good thing. So we can make this class thread safe, or maybe actually the method thread safe, because the whole class does not need to be thread safe, but the whole trip booking method or the trip booking flow can be made thread safe. There are multiple ways to do it. I'll not go into details of it, but yeah, the trip booking flow should be made thread safe. Again, while let's say checking the availability, or updating the availability of the cab, we are not checking actually the cab is on a trip or not. Like, we are checking cab should be there into the system, but what if the cab is already on the trip? Then we should not allow the update of availability, right? So that check is missing. So the whole idea is, make the code complete and put as many checks as possible, so that interviewer will know we have thought through the solution. So that's pretty much it about the system design. I have actually, if you're looking for the whole code and all, then I have actually put the code on one GitHub repo, which is over here. So this GitHub repo will have everything, the complete code, and it has a problem statement also, and just one readme. You can just go to this site, or maybe actually the repo on GitHub, and you can get this code and try and play with it. If you just play with it, then if you find something useful, if you try some new pattern into it, if you create new thing or improve the design some way, then I would be really happy to get your code, or maybe see your code, how you have improved the design. It will actually allow me to do some learning also, and also I will be very happy if you try to contribute in this repo. That's all from my side on this thing. If you have any comments, any feedback, just feel free to comment on the YouTube section. Also, just subscribe to the channel if you have not done it already. Thank you. Bye bye.